All right, welcome into Gridiron Icon, the podcast. I am joined by my co-host, the great 88, Mr. Preston Denard. How are we, sir?
Hey, first of all, let's cheer my partner in crime, as they call it. But anyway, doing outstanding, man. Really, it's a wonderful Saturday that we're doing this show, and just excited about Ram news and a lot of stuff happening out there. And who the heck knows about the NFL draft coming up?
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. We'll maybe talk a little bit about that. You're coming off a big season, man. Hall
Yeah.
of Fames, singing at the during bowl season. Uh, I mean, this you got to. We're kind of trying to bring it down a few notches for you, let you relax a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Things are
Yeah,
stepping
that's
up. I'm
the.
really talking about doing some great stuff this year. So I'll fill you in.
Oh,
Yeah.
little teaser. Okay,
Little
little
teaser.
teaser for the audience. Well, let's talk about the biggest news. We have not spent any time talking about that Super Bowl. It's almost old news now, but
Yeah.
I think we should give a little download on it, particularly because there was kind of a lot writing on it. Kansas City Chiefs were looking at a three-peat opportunity. There was conversations about Patrick Mahomes passing Tom Brady as the GOAT. There was Andy Reid playing his Eagles again. He was the one-time head coach of. There was a lot of storylines, but
Yeah.
I got to come right out and say it, man. I did not really enjoy the game. I just thought it was really boring. How about
Well,
you?
and a lot of people, you know how funny that is because, first of all, here we are. And if you may recall, I think we both selected Philadelphia to win the
I
game.
actually took the Chiefs.
Did you take the
I
Chiefs?
have
I'm
to
trying to
throw my
remember. Okay,
you chose
I
Philadelphia. I got to
I
throw
did.
myself under the bus here. I
Yeah.
thought the Chiefs would do it. Ugh.
Well, of course, and that's the comfort that we all had because of their dominance and the run that they've had in the Super Bowls prior to, and it didn't matter what the scenario is. But when you're playing a team a second time around within less than 3 years, 4 years for a Super Bowl, they're coming back at you. And if you play them during the season, that's another thing too. So it's tough, as the Oregon Ducks found out with Ohio
Ugh.
State. I mean, it's like night and day, right? Night and day, and you wonder, well, what happened? And you try to come up with all these excuses. But bottom line is, Philadelphia played the game they needed to play to win it. And I
Yep.
think, if I recall, I had selected Saquon as the difference maker in the game. I think he still was a difference maker
Yeah.
because he had to command the attention of the Chiefs defense, and it was another element that wasn't there before. So that's why I felt really good about the pick, really good about the success of the game, even though it wasn't the battle that we expected, but you saw dominance. I mean, you can't take away from Philadelphia. You saw dominance. You saw what a team is
Yeah.
supposed to do to go in and claim victory. And it was disappointing that the Chiefs failed, but then you found out they're human.
Yeah. Yeah. Any given Sunday, right?
Any given Sunday.
Uh, I agree. I 100% agree with you. I feel like Saquon drew so much of that, so much attention from that Chiefs defense that it really opened up the game for a lot of other players. But
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, here we go again, right? I mean, you can speak to this better than anybody, the generation you played in, but running game and defense. So
Yeah.
the fact that Saquon was such a distraction and then the Philadelphia defense came to play.
Hmm.
I mean, they put on a dominant performance against Patrick Mahomes. Those
They,
two interceptions were just brutal,
yeah,
brutal down there on their side of the field.
I agree.
It was really something. Let me ask you this: do you think this is an anomaly? Do the Chiefs bounce back from this next season? Are the Eagles really, about to start a run here as a quasi dynasty? What do you think the long term impact is?
Well, as far as long term, I don't think it's really going to affect the Chiefs. Really, I think they've got enough talent and skill, and they're smart enough men that lead that program and franchise that they will keep them in the light that they've always been seen in the last few years. So they're going to come back, and they're going to be a playoff team, and they're really going to be a determined, driven team because Kelsey decides to come back. which I
Yeah.
didn't think he was leaving anyway. If he's that kind of competitor, he's coming back. He wants to right the ship once again. So they've got all their pieces there. They can add a couple of more. They're not losing anybody as far as we know as of right now, but the draft hasn't come upon us yet. And all they can do is just improve and get better. Philadelphia just had their number. That's all that was. It
Yeah.
wasn't that they were that much greater than them. Of course, we did say as a team or unit that certain units on the team were better than we thought, more competitive than Kansas City, and they could dominate there. One of them was the offensive line, and of course
Right.
Saquon. But I don't think you unseat Kansas City right now in the AFC. They're still the front runner. They're still the most talented team out there.
Yeah, I got to agree. I think this was, I don't want to say it's an anomaly, take anything away from Philly. I mean, they played a heck of they came to play. And I'm not a big fan of their team for obvious reasons. They beat the Rams just a couple weeks earlier when the Rams should have won the game. The Rams really should have been in the Super Bowl, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
this is any given Sunday. But I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are going to reload. They already protected their guard, franchised him, and I think the only thing that they're missing is a little bit more team speed. They've got a bunch of free agents, but if they add some speed to that thing and Kelsey comes back as the stopgap, I think the Chiefs are right back there. The team that really, I came away from this game feeling like it was such a gut punch to the Rams because they should have been in it. And then the Buffalo Bills, which if there was ever a year for them to take advantage of the Chiefs not playing their absolute best, it was this year. And I got to, as a guy who used to be a Buffalo Bill, I was really rooting for Josh Allen to get there. And I just, by the end of this game, I thought, ugh, this was the year for them to do something.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I
It's
tell you
it,
what, we're waiting. We're waiting to see the turn. I think things are going to change in the NFC and the AFC. It won't just be a clear run for Kansas City anymore. Certainly won't be that for Philadelphia because NFC is positioning themselves where other teams are going to be just as strong, if not stronger. But Philadelphia is going to have to get some speed somewhere. That's what I think. They still got Saquon. That's still a big, huge difference maker.
beast.
But you still got it, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, it was great. I really thought that the defense should have got the MVP. But, quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
ends up with it. He did play a good game. Jalen Hurts played a good game, but the defense was the difference in that game for sure. Okay, let's shift gears for a minute. Something that's in the headlines right now. The NFL Combine is going on as we speak, and we've got all kinds of spotlight on the players there, particularly Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, the Colorado Buffs under Dion. I'm going to go on record right here and saying I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff they're saying at the podium. I admire bravado. You're a wide receiver. You could tell us all about bravado and being confident. But what is your take on where Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter land in this draft and just the overall body of work they're putting out there at the combine? I don't know if you've seen any of it. Shadeur's been very blunt. He's got his cap on sideways, and it's just a vibe that I don't think is going to sit well with NFL execs. Could be wrong. I'm just an old guy.
Well, let's look at the reality of what's at hand. First of all, there's two scenarios. One is it's a combine, and everybody's mindset is I'm looking at skill set, I'm looking at talent, I'm looking at what they got to do. I don't think they're really that much looking at wearing their hat sideways or their shoes backwards or whatever it might
Okay.
be. But I really don't think today, this weekend, that's what the biggest concern is. Now, I think after they establish, okay, that's about what I expected, or that's some really good skill set, or we need to position ourselves, we need that kid. Now the whole mindset changes. But here's what I want folks to remember. When these teams are looking for that quarterback, these are the names and the people that they're hoping they can end up finding. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Who would be the next in line that would fit in there? Would it be our guy down in, well, I don't even know where he is, Tampa Bay? That was at Cleveland. What's our quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield
Baker
might
Mayfield.
be the next, he might be the fifth top talent there. Who in that draft is going to match that skill set? That's what they call the elite in the NFL. And then you got Tua, and then you got those guys, and I hadn't even mentioned
Jaden Daniels.
the guy, the one that won the Super Bowl. You
Yeah.
still got Jalen Hurts, but
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden
We're
Daniels.
looking for that quarterback. So you ask my opinion, Shadur Sanders is not any one of those,
Oh,
except
no
for
way.
the arm that he has. I don't think he has the intelligence, but he certainly knows how to play the game. He certainly knows how to throw the ball. But you've seen him run all season. You didn't see him sit in the pocket, execute. A few plays he were able to do that, right?
Yeah.
But you've seen him run all season long. And here's the other deal. When he ran, the defense was not prepared as a component of their scheme to stop him on his run. They figured they could get to him on the chase and the sack, and he's got a little talent at speed. So this is really going to be a tough pick. So I throw this at you, Stacy. Is he number one? Or is
No
he the
way.
fourth pick?
Oh.
Is he the fourth quarterback or is he the fourth one?
Oh. No, you're talking by position, not by draft
by
pick.
position, not by draft pick.
Yeah.
He's not number one on your chart.
Oh, good grief. I'm going to come right out and say it.
Okay, please do.
I Shadur Sanders, yeah. I got nothing against the kid, but I did watch him play, and I'm not touching him before the fifth round. I mean, I don't understand it. I do understand this. It's his name. It's the hype. It's the propaganda machine. I'm not saying he has no talent. I'm just saying, come on, folks. Come on. Really? And I'm looking at this draft order with Cleveland at number 3, and they're going to do it, aren't they? They're going to do it. It's going to be somebody like Cleveland that does something stupid. The kid, he is not in the class of guys you just mentioned. He wasn't in that class of guys in college. Like, he didn't play in the
he
SEC.
wasn't.
No. He
But
didn't.
can
He
he
didn't
play
win
with
any big
Cam?
games.
Yeah. I mean, can he play with Cam? He made some.
Are you talking
good
about
plays.
Cam Ward of Miami?
Yeah, Cam Ward.
Yeah, okay. Still, I'm not picking Cam Ward in the top 20. I'm just being honest.
Who we picking? Who we picking? We got everybody watching this. Well, who are you picking?
Oh, as the number one pick? Or
Well,
just
no,
in...
top quarterback.
Oh, the top quarter. I would stay away from the quarterbacks in the draft like the Black Plague.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think... I've watched them all. The one that's kind of interesting is the kid from Mississippi. Was it Jackson Dart?
Yep.
I think he's got it, but is he a first and second round? No.
See, here's the handicap, Stacy. The handicap is that's what you have in this class.
I know.
You got to have a
Wouldn't touch
draft
it.
this year. You got to. Somebody's going to need a quarterback. So there's nobody available in the free agent market, especially after your buddy that we're going to talk about stuck around with the Rams.
Yeah.
So with that said, there's nobody great available. That's out there. They got to go get and invest in somebody. And Jackson is my pick. I'm glad you mentioned that. He's my
you
pick
like
as
him.
the first quarterback to come out.
Okay.
I think he's really talented. I think he's smart, and he played for a coach that is friendly quarterbacks. So I think Jackson's probably going to be the first quarterback taken. Now, there's probably going to be somebody that we're unaware of that they're probably going to select. And I think in the Big Sky Conference, there's a big-time quarterback, and I can't remember where he's from, and because you stumped me on that one. So I think
Well, you stumped me.
yeah, I think he's. If it's not South Dakota State, it's Montana State. I think it is. But they got a great quarterback there too that nobody knows about. Next show we're gonna talk about him, and I'll get all the information on him. But
Love it.
Jackson Dart is a guy. He's the only one I can think of that you'd want to draft as a number one pick.
Yeah, if I'm in that top 5 to 7 picks, I am desperately looking to trade down. Although the thing with this draft is it's very rich in defense. Like there's some really good pass rushers. The kid from Penn State, a couple of the kids from Georgia. There's some really good defense there if you want that. But these quarterbacks, I stay as far away from all of them as humanly possible. And I don't care if you're the Raiders or you're one of these the Giants. You've got Sam Darnold sitting out there. You've got Kirk Cousins sitting on the bench in Atlanta. You've got the kid Joe Milton up in New England that put on a show. Go after one of these guys that's, I don't want to say established, but somewhat established. I wouldn't touch any of these quarterbacks with a 40-foot pole before the fourth or fifth round, except Jackson Dart, who I think is a second rounder. I think development, you get him on the right system.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a name out at you that I like, and it's not just from the heart, but Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. He's stature-wise, he's not a big guy. But if he gets in the right system, I think that there's something there. I think that if the right coach can get a hold of that kid, I think that he may end up being a little dark horse out of this draft. But I'm not picking him in the first 2 rounds. Yeah.
Okay, but you went there, so let's talk about this.
Oh, okay.
The only comparison we have with his game set and how he plays a game is Tua in Miami. That's who you got to compare him to.
A left-handed Drew Brees, maybe. Maybe a left-handed Drew Brees. I'll
Yeah,
throw it out there.
yeah.
I'll throw it out there.
No,
Okay.
I mean, that's the comparison of the athlete you're getting. You're getting an athlete with a particular stature as far as height. You're getting an athlete who has a really good strong arm, smart, but you got the ability of a game breaker in his running ability. But he can throw the ball. He's another Tua. But where does another Tua fit in the National Football League? Could it be Cleveland? Well, they couldn't do it with Mayfield.
Oh,
They couldn't do it, and
no.
they're trying to. I mean, they really can't do it with with what they got there now. So, but Cleveland's always had the mindset of getting the quarterback similar to that. So that's where I see Dylan Gabriel going if he is a selected draft pick. But when you compare it, you don't have a lot of comparison of his skill set. But he's great for a college game. He's exactly what they want. Somebody that can move and run and smart enough to play the quarterback position and the ability to throw the ball too as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's a heck of an athlete. I think it's going to take going to the right place.
Right place.
But if you're the New York Giants, and again, I just want to point out to everybody, and I know how you feel about this guy, but Aaron Rodgers is out there. The kid, yeah, I know you love him. The kid out of Minnesota. Yeah, nope. Kirk Cousins, Joe Milton, guys sitting on. Jimmy Garoppolo is a free agent now that he's not a backup with the Rams. There's other players out there. If you're the New York Giants picking that high, why would you bank your front office and coaching staff on one of these kids that just weren't all that game changing at the college level? Go get one of these guys or trade back or get a great defensive player. Take a flyer on a Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round if he's sitting there and try to develop him. Otherwise, we're going to see catastrophically bad decisions in this draft with these quarterbacks because I'm sorry, I just don't see it at all.
Well, I'm going to throw you in the back seat right now.
Please do.
I'm going to stump you.
Oh,
I'm going to
that's
take
embarrassing.
you somewhere where you never thought you would go. And that is the one quarterback that will truly be very impressive day one at training camp as a rookie is Quinn Ewers.
What?
He's
really?
not going listen to me. He's not going number 1. He's not going number 2.
No.
He may go number 3. And on top of that, we're talking about Jackson Dart. I still feel he's the number 1 guy. But the one that's going to have the most success in training camp, outside of Jackson, I'll say, because I just think he's a can't miss. He's the only can't miss in the draft. But the one that's going to have a surprise training camp, I think is Quinn. And the reason is he's developed to be an executioner at quarterback because he's got all the details. He came back. Think of this mindset. He came back with the top quarterback that's going to be in the draft, probably the highest paid quarterback and the highest drafted quarterback. I know we've had a couple of guys that went number 1, but if they had a 0, this kid would be 0. And we're talking about Manning at Texas. He's got Manning ready to play, who can truly make a difference in a ball game. But Quinn has the leadership and the mentality and the discipline of calm to go out and perform. Now, you want to know who was game breaker during the season? He was the game breaker for his team. He's the one that made sure they ended up where they were. Now, when you get to the point where they got beat in the playoffs, and they lost to what? Ohio State?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe they lost to Ohio State. God, my brain, you're testing me there. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
you couldn't beat Ohio State. They were on a run on a mission.
No.
Texas
Yeah.
is probably the one team that battled them that should have been in position. But Quinn Ewers is the one that I think is going to make a big surprise for
Really?
because he just has it here. And,
Okay.
And he has a skill set to throw the ball, right? He can throw the
Right.
ball. He had speedsters on his team. He had great.
His
offensive
receiving
line.
class. Yeah, his
Yeah.
receivers.
So you got to be able to throw to those guys. He can throw it. So he's got the discipline. He's got the skill set. He's got the mentality. Out of all those guys in the draft pick that has skill ability, he's got this far greater than everybody else. I'd be interested to know what his mental tests, what all of his, at the combine where they want to challenge their thought process and all that. I'd like to know where he rates among all the other quarterbacks. I bet he's number one in all those ratings. But that's my surprise
Interesting.
pick for you.
That is a surprise.
Watch out.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. You heard it here first. Okay. I watched him a little bit in college. I must say the pressure to stave off Arch Manning had to be in the back of his head constantly. I'm hoping Arch Manning somehow ends up as a Ram. I'm not sure how they're going to pull that off, but we'll see. That'd be great. But
What if the Rams took Quinn? You think they'd do that?
oh, yeah,
Looking for
based
a
on what
quality backup? Yeah.
based on what you just said. Listen, I want to go on record right here, and this is a nice segue into our next subject.
Yep.
Sean McVay needs to develop a quarterback.
Yes, he does. Yes,
He's considered one of next to Andy Reid. They just did a poll. He's the number 2 best coach in the NFL, according to other people, general managers, fans, and whatnot. But when you really think about it, he tossed Jared Goff under the bus and traded for a stud in Matt Stafford. He needs to develop someone. Could Quinn Ewers, like in round 3 or 4, is Les Snead sitting back going, that Preston Denard knows a thing or two? And that's a very interesting thought, because if he can sit behind Stafford, they've got they just signed the 2-year contract. If he could sit there and watch Stafford,
Yeah. Well, you think about it.
Well, you got me thinking.
Yeah, because the Rams are good on defense, right? They can always
Ooh,
improve.
young studs.
They got young athletes, yeah. And then on the offense, I have to be honest, I haven't always been excited about the running backs, even though we got some good ones. But I haven't.
It's funny you say that.
We don't have that real dominant. But I mean, you think about the running backs of past. I mean, I played with all those dominant running backs. From
Hall of
Price
Famers.
to Wendell Taylor, yeah, and then Greg Bell, and then you had Bettis.
What?
I mean, let's just think about all the names of the running backs that come through here.
Yeah, Charles White.
Charles White. We don't have those guys. We got some quality running backs, but we don't have that game breaker that I think the Rams need. So the backup quarterback position on offense and a true dominant game changer at running back. I think those are the two key picks for the Rams. And since we're transitioning over to it now, and you got your boy back, Stafford, so you still got strength and nucleus there along with the defense, I think that's the key. I think if they can do that and make the offense, but here's the knucklehead thing. You tell me, Stacy, how do you get rid of Coop?
Boy, I got to tell you, I
like
want to come back to this running back thing, but because I agree, I had no clue you felt that way. I feel the same way. And Kyron Williams is pretty popular, but I'm like, we need a guy who breaks the game open. Love that kid in North Carolina. We'll come back there.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of Cooper Kupp? And listen, I get it. He isn't what he was 3 years ago. No one ever maintains that. No one. The greats of the game. You know this better than anybody. You start to get older, But I'm really shocked that they didn't find a way to keep him, because I honestly think Cooper Kupp will end up on Sean McVay's coaching staff as soon as he retires. I just think
Yeah,
Kupp will
that's an
be.
interesting
I
thing.
really do. I think he'll be coaching with the Rams somewhere down the line. But what in the world is happening there? And how did that impact Stafford re-signing yesterday? I Cooper Kupp should have retired in horns. I
Well,
I'm
I'm gonna
bothered
give you
by it.
I'm gonna give you my opinion. I
Please.
think the Rams I think the Rams blew it with him. They blew it with me. I'm talking about the coaches. They
Yeah.
blew it with there's one other player I remember that was in our
How
position.
about Henry
They
Ellard?
can't well, Hopsing, yeah,
He
because they
ends up in
couldn't find a
Washington.
way.
It was like, what?
Well, here's the deal. Here's where these coaches don't have a clear sense and clarity and I'm going to say a little honor of respect to the veteran who still has ability. You couldn't tell me last year Cooper couldn't have played for the Rams.
Yeah.
Still this year. He still was productive. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he lose a slight speed of step? Yeah. But he didn't lose the ability to catch the football, run routes, and get open. He was still beating guys. I've always wondered, how the heck is Cooper Kupp beating all these guys in
Oh,
4-2, 4-3?
technician.
But when you think
Yeah.
about it, we all did. We all beat those guys. It's the nature of the game. But here's my point. You got Cooper Kupp. And I think back when John Robinson had me, and he was all about speed, all about speed, all about speed. So he wanted to go get Ron Brown, Olympian. Okay, he got Ron Brown. He had all these guys. He had all Flipper. He had all these guys. And they all trade him away when they think they've gotten enough out of him that they wanted. But what they don't have is that guy. They never have that guy. That's why they look to the H back or the tight ends. Those everybody wants a Kelsey. These days
Yep.
they want, and so if they can't find that in a tight end, they don't have that. They try to find it in a multi-position athlete. But we're the guys that are your third down, fourth down guys that are going to keep the drive alive. You're not
Yeah.
asking us to outrun somebody on the outside. Put us in the slot. Bring us in on third nickel and keep the drive going. Boom, you got your veteran. Smart, knows the schemes, knows how to find the open spots. Bam, go to the sideline. The utility player. It's like that utility designated hitter for baseball. They don't think that way. They think,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I want to get that speed. And we only got 2 wideout spots, so we're going to have to get rid of. Well, now they got 4 positions, and they still think they can't use. They couldn't find a way to consider keeping Cooper Kupp. I
It's
don't
wild.
get it. It's the first time, you ask anybody, this is the first time I've ever said this about a player the Rams cut at wide receiver because the nature of the game is you use them until you think you can upgrade from them. I don't know if they're going to upgrade or be in a position to upgrade. There's some receivers out there. But
Yeah.
if you got nothing, what did the Rams do? They had a bunch of speed. They still couldn't kick the door down when they had those teams. So here we are, faced with the same scenario.
I love that you brought this up. I couldn't agree more. This is, and I'm going to say something controversial. This is where I think Sean McVay has a blind spot. I really do, because he's never developed a quarterback. And I want to point out something to everybody. Cooper Kupp was putting up huge numbers on this team with guys like Odell Beckham on the team, with guys like Allen Robinson on the team, with these other with guys like Brandon Cooks on the team, with Robert Woods on the team. I could keep going. Cooper Kupp was the one guy that kept doing it. And I feel like McVay almost has this fetish or something, this weird, like, I cannot believe he's letting Cooper Kupp's brain and locker room vibe and all of that walk out of that locker room. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, you're kidding, right? Like, do you remember a guy named Ricky Prohl?
Yeah.
Not the fastest guy, he'd tell you that. Caught everything that came his way, almost helped us win the Super Bowl against the Patriots with a comeback. Cooper Kupp can't play that role and retire in horns? I'm baffled by this, dude. I'm baffled.
My point. Yep. It's one of those times where I get to throw the yellow flag because that's a hell of a penalty, brother. Bam!
I'm going to hate it. And I got to believe somebody with a brain's going to pick up Kupp. So like Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, he used to coach with our team and move him into Minnesota and use him. Somebody's going to pick him up and we're going to look stupid. I just don't get it.
They're going to use him the way we think he should be used.
Right.
In his later years. I would say
Right.
the first 4 or 5 years, yeah, you use him blow him out, wide receiver,
Right.
boom, boom. But now you take his intelligence, his smart, his ability to get open, his strength, his consistency, his leadership, his veteran posture. All those things matter because when you get a young kid who just can't get off the ball because he can't figure it out, he can't think, he hasn't been seasoned enough, and you got Cooper that can get away from the bump, throw the ball, keep the drive going. That's important because what kills
Absolutely.
teams? Drive killers. You
Yeah.
can't produce first downs, you're in trouble. You got players that, and I go back to my career, same thing. You know, I went back to John Robinson after I got traded. I said, hey, do you ever think of me as your nickel guy? Coming off the bench, consistently catching the ball, keeping the drives going. I mean, if I get in the end zone, I get in the end zone. But one thing's for sure, I know my worth, I know my value, and I know how I can contribute to the success of this team. And so you take advantage of those skills. You know, dadgunnit, you can't run it when you got 7 yards to go. It's third or long or fourth down. You want to get down there, 10-yard, hook it up, boom, catch the ball, fall on the ground. Let's go, keep the drive going, get your scheme rolling.
Yeah. Chain movers. So let me ask you this. To that point, where did you have your best statistical season?
Buffalo Bills. More touchdowns, more catches. There you go. You said it.
Ouch.
Always happens. Always happens.
Ouch.
Yes,
Somebody
Henry
else
Ellard.
went. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Henry Ellard went to Washington.
A great year. Yeah. It always happens because
Man, what a gut punch.
somebody found a way to take advantage
Right.
of veteran leadership and
Right.
the smartness. You know, it takes me back to that play. You and I talked about this when I was in Buffalo with Joe Ferguson. And Joe Ferguson made a statement about a blitz. Remember that? The blitz came, it was against Washington. And they blitzed us. We were inside the 20. And I did my adjustment route. When they blitz, I snap it off. But I get my depth. I don't snap it off real quick. You know, oh, here we go, panic. I get my depth because I'm thinking about depth. I'm thinking about yardage. I'm thinking about first down. And I make that break. He didn't throw the ball. You know, and he told me, he came back to the huddle. He says, hey, you need to break that off, break that off. I said, I did. I said, I saw the blitz. I saw it coming from the weak side. I broke it off. And that's when he told me, well, when we get back on Monday and we watch the film, I'll apologize to you in front of everybody. He apologized in front of everybody, but he didn't trust the veteran leadership. He didn't trust that I was going to be there. And I've had years of experience being a winner and being in playoffs and being in the championships. I mean, I was seasoned. I know what I need to do. And he didn't trust that. And see, that's the difference maker when you're trading a veteran player. You don't have to even panic. You don't have to worry about, is he going to perform the way we need him to perform with years of experience? Oh, yeah, it's embedded in you. So that's exactly what Cooper Kupp's going to do. That's exactly what Prohl and all these other guys when they left here, Henry Ellard when they left here, and you know who else? Harold Jackson when he left here.
Oh, Harold
England,
Jackson.
Seattle,
Yeah.
all these guys. Ron Jesse when he went.
Yeah.
Every one of these guys, you know, went and had a great year somewhere else. Not all of them, but most of us did. And you know, it's going back to that. Who's the smartest guy in the coaching room?
Well, to your point, and we'll end on this note, to your point, Matt Stafford's back. We couldn't be more excited about that. I'm happy about that. But folks, Cooper Kupp won't be.
Yep.
And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Matt Stafford without Cooper Kupp. And I'm not, obviously he has a great chemistry with Puka, and we love Puka. Love him. But there's something to be said for that guy that you know, the sun's coming up tomorrow. I know right where he'll be, when I want him to be there. That's going to be missing, at least on one side of the ball. So big stuff ahead. I am not for the Cooper Kupp thing. I'm bummed out about it. Interesting to get your take.
Well, the
Love it.
funniest challenge, and we leave everybody with this to think about and to ponder with what all we just said and talked about. What is your first pick? Is it Quinn? Is it the quarterback? Or is it that receiver, Bond? You can get him from Texas too, or whomever. They probably need a receiver, right? They need a really good
Absolutely.
game breaker. But you got Quinn Ewers sitting there. You need that wonderful backup. So
I don't
that's
think
the
they'll.
thought.
Okay, interesting thought. I'll throw it out there as we close. I am almost 100% confident the Rams will go after one of those tight ends with their first pick.
Ah, love it.
This is a very rich tight end draft, and McVay really wanted the kid that ended up on the Raiders last year out of Georgia. The kid, he looks like a beast, but he arguably the best tight end in football last year as a rookie. Arguably the best. They'll go after a tight end early. That's my take on this. I agree with you, though. Quinn Ewers, let me stew on that. Second, third round, I could see it. He's got to develop a quarterback. He's got to.
I think he's the best one out there. You're not going to
All right.
Jackson Dart.
No. He'll be long gone. Somebody's going to grab Jackson Dart in the first round.
That's right.
Somebody with a brain. He'll be the shock. Last year was Michael Penix in Atlanta. Jackson Dart will be the shocker this year. Shocker to fans, but NFL people will be like, yeah, that's a good pick. They'll be like, yeah, all right, man. Well, there you have it, folks. Preston Denard's predictions for the draft and our Los Angeles Rams. Thanks for joining us this week. You can find us in all the usual spots. To my friend, I will see you on our next show. Any parting words?
No. You've heard all the words I need to hear, right?
Okay. Do not trade Cooper Kupp. We will see you all next week. Thanks for joining us.